What happens back? A senator's wife gets caught bashed active. And a fresh in the middle of her cloister audition pulls other corpuscle buzz and calls her bedmate for help. This for 5-year-old woman is about to learn that some buzz calls you can't make. Some positions don't grant immunity, and some husbands choose integrity over protection. But what makes this case actually unforgettable is to aloof the bash driving. It's what hit, who she larboard injured, and whether bedmate said back. Adjudicator Caprio put them on speakerphone in advance of the entire courtroom. Let us apperceive area you're watching from, because what happens in the abutting few minutes will restore your acceptance that political ability doesn't purchase exemption from accountability. It's a Wednesday afternoon in Providence Municipal Court. Adjudicator Frank Caprio reviews a case that has already degenerated acute accessible interest. Diane Ackerward, age 45, wife of Rhode Island State Agent Michael Crawford, charged with active beneath the access causing property damage, abrogation the arena of an accident, and abortion to seed aid. The incident occurred 9 canicule ago at 9:47 p.m. in a Providence Arcade Center parking lot. Aegis camera footage tells the adventure acutely and devastatingly. Diana Crawford was driving her Mercedes SUV through the lot when she addled the Anchor 2015 Honda Accord, causing cogent blow to the vehicle's rear division panel, bumper, and trunk. The impulse was hard enough to activate the Honda's anxiety and deploy its rear blow sensors. The Honda belonged to Robert Martinez, a 67-year-old Vietnam War adept who was inside the adjoining pharmacy acrimonious of medication for his wife, who is MS and is advancement impaired. Aegis footage shows Diana departure her Mercedes, walking unsteadily to audit the image. A fresh abiding to her vehicle inactive abroad afterwards, abrogation any information afterwards, calling police without blockage if anyone was hurt. A witness got her authorization plate. Police tracked her to her home 40 minutes later. Her claret booze content measured at 10:30 p.m. was 4, nearly alert the acknowledged limit. A customs thetameline board appraisal her back at the time of the blow was likely 16 or higher. Back Admiral accustomed at her abode to rest her. Diana's first words were, "Do you apperceive who my husband is?" Her bedmate is Senator Michael Crawford, currently serving his third appellation representing Rhode Island's Eastern District. Our respected administrator accepted for his work in Bentamens ameliorate, and his reputation for bipartisan cooperation. Now, 9 canicule later, Diana Crawford enters Judge Caprio's attorneys cutting inexpensive accoutrements, and an announcement that suggests she believes this is all a terrible confounding that will bear solved quickly. Her attorney, Thomas Whitmore, from one of Providence's most politically affiliated law firms, walks beside her, accustomed to attaché and an air of complete aplomb that money and access can accomplish problems to stop her. Judge Caprio watches Diana's entrance with the accurate absorption he gives every defendant. She doesn't erring like Simeone adverse austere bent charges. She walks like a dish and accessory a charity luncheon area she expects to be thanked for her presence. The bailiff calls the case. Adjudicator Caprio reviews the charges, his articulation ensuring every word enters the accessible record. Active under the access causing acreage damage, leaving the arena of an accident. Failure to seed aid to actuate if anyone was injured. Diana's attorney immediately requests after effect Todiscus acute affairs. Accustomed Mrs. Crawford's position in the community. Judge Caprio's acknowledgement is actual and unambiguous. Whitmore. This is a public courtroom. All affairs breach on their court. If your client's conduct can't serve with accessible scrutiny, that's a problem with the conduct. Thomas Whitmore tries a different approach. He acknowledges his applicant fabricated an error in judgment, but emphasizes that she has no above-mentioned bet record, that her family has been acutely complex in Rhode Island borough life, that Senator Crawford's aldermanic assignment has benefited endless constituents. Judge Caprio interrupts, "Mr. Whitmore, your client's husband's legislative record is not affirmation in this case. We're actuality to abode what she did, not what she's affiliated to. If you're not subscribed, hit that button adapted now because what happens next will appearance you. Actually, what happens in addition tries to use political power to obtain accountability." Judge Caprio asks Diana directly, "Do you require the accused to join you?" Diana nods, but her announcement suggests she angle this as a formality. "Yes, Your Honor, but I anticipate there's been some exaggeration about what actually happened." Exaggeration? Adjudicator Caprio picks up the police report. "Mrs. Crawford, you struck an anchored agent while active with a blood booze agreeable of 14. You left the arena afterwards. Accoutrement information. These are facts, not exaggerations." Diana accoutrement uncomfortably. "The damage wasn't that serious, and I anticipation that parking lot was clandestine property, so I didn't apprehend I bear to address it." Judge Caprio's announcement hardens. "Mrs. Crawford, hit and run laws administered to our property. accessible or private, and whether damage is austere isn't meant by the being who acquired it. He asks the clerk to comedy the Aegis camera footage. The attorney's advisor shows Diana's Mercedes arresting Robert Martinez's Honda. The pulse is clear, livable. The anxiety activates. Diana gets out, inspects the blow for about 30 seconds, a fresh allotment to her agent, and drives away. The footage is damning. There's no ambiguity, no allowance for interpretation. Diana acquired significant image and fled. Adjudicator Caprio asks Diana if she recognizes what's apparent in the video. Yes, but I was in shock. I wasn't thinking clearly. Mrs. Crawford. The footage shows you continuing there for 30 seconds, analytical the damage. That's long abundant to leave a note. Long and auto-alarm police. Long abundant to do the right thing. Diana has no response. Judge Caprio reviews the victim impact statement submitted by Robert Martinez. Robert describes abiding to his car tough and cogent damage. No note, no information. He explains that his insurance deductible is $1,000. Money that's difficult for him and his wife to administer on their anchored income. It mentions that his wife's wheelchair-accessible van is in the shop, so they're on the Honda for her medical appointments. The blow Diana caused is an aloof acreage damage. It's as significant banking accountability for unelderly brace, already ambidextrous with a progressive disability. Judge Caprio asks Diana if she attempted to acquaintance Mr. Martinez. To apologize to action to owning the images. Her advocate Bound explains that acknowledged admonition brash against direct contact. Adjudicator Caprio's voice becomes sharp. Acknowledged action doesn't text his moral obligation. Mr. Whitmore, your applicant fled the arena, and in 9 days, she hasn't taken any responsibility for the abuse she caused. Diana speaks up, her articulation demography on an edge. Your Honor, I fabricated a mistake. My family is able to pay for the images. We aloof appetite to boldness this matter agilely and move forward, quietly. Adjudicator Caprio repeats the word. Mrs. Crawford, you appetite to boldness this quietly because your bedmate is a statistinator. But the Martinez ancestors can't resolve their banking hardship quietly. They acquire to alive with the consequences of your choices public every day. Diana's jaw tightens. For the first time, she looks genuine and frustrated rather than just inconvenienced. Judge Caprio calls Administrator Jennifer Santos, who responded to the arena and later arrested Diana. Administrator Santos testifies about award Diana a residence, about the aroma of alcohol, about Diana's antecedent abnegation to submit a breathalyzer, until a breast their refusal would after effect an automatic license suspension. What was Mrs. Crawford's address during the arrest? Adjudicator Caprio asks, dismissive, Your Honor. She repeatedly asked if we knew who her bedmate was. She said this was a decay of police resources and that we should be focusing on absolute crimes. Adjudicator Caprio asks to hear the anatomy camera audio from the arrest. Diana's articulation fills that courtroom, slurred and indignant. Do y'all know who my bedmate is? He's a statistinator. You're authoritative, a huge mistake. This will be taken affliction of. The blackout that follows is devastating. Judge Caprio looks at Diana. Mrs. Crawford. That audio was recorded at 10:30 p.m. 45 account afterwards you struck Mr. from Martinez's agent and drove away. Instead of taking responsibility, you threatened police officers with your husband's position. Diana tries to explain. I was stressed. I said things I didn't mean. You said exactly what you meant, Mrs. Crawford. You accepted your husband's position to make your bent behavior disappear. And that's back. Diana makes her catastrophic mistake. She pulls her cell phone from her purse. Adapted there in open court, she starts dialing. Judge Caprio's articulation cuts through the courtroom like a blade. Mrs. Crawford, what are you doing? I'm calling my husband. He can explain this bigger than he can. The attorneys collectively holds its breath. Did she aloof try to alarm her husband in the average of her hearing? Mrs. Crawford, put that buzz away immediately. Diana continues captivation the phone to her ear. He's the one who deals with acknowledged matters. He'll apperceive what to say. Adjudicator Caprio's articulation becomes ice cold. Mrs. Crawford, you are continuing in the attorney's adverse been accused and you aloof attempted to alarm your husband for advice in the average of proceedings. That is antipathy of court. Diana finally lowers the phone. But the blow is in. She aloof approved in advance of everyone that she believes her husband's position can fix anything. Alike active at court proceedings. Adjudicator Caprio makes a decision that will become allegorical in Rhode Island acknowledged history. Bailiff, retrieve Mrs. Crawford's phone. Mrs. Crawford, you alleged your husband. I'm going to accord you what you wanted. We're going to allocution to Agent Crawford right now. Diana's face goes pale. This isn't what she expected. Adjudicator Caprio instructs the agent to acquaintance Senator Crawford's office. Oral minutes. They have him on the line. Adjudicator Caprio puts alarm on speakerphone so the entire courtroom can hear. Agent Crawford, this is Adjudicator Frank Caprio in Providence Municipal Court. Your wife is actuality for a hearing apropos DUI accused and she just attempted to alarm you. In the middle of affairs for assistance. I'm putting you on a parcel so we can address this amount publicly. There's a abeyance of fresh Agent Michael Crawford's articulation fills the courtroom. Steady but abundant with emotion. Your Honor, I apologize for my wife's behavior. She had no adapted to alarm me during cloister proceedings. Diana tries to interrupt, but Adjudicator Caprio holds up his hand. Agent Crawford continues. Your Honor, I charge to say article for their court. I've been acquainted of the charges against my wife back the night of her arrest. I've brushed her to bootyful responsibility, to apologize to Murdoch Martinez, and to acquire whatever consequence the cloister deems appropriate. Diana's eyes widen. This isn't the supportive accomplishment she expected. Senator Crawford, Adjudicator Caprio asks, are you alarmed this cloister to appearance lenient side of your wife because of your position? The senator's acknowledgement makes Diana physically stagger. No, Your Honor. I'm asking you to amusement her actually as Yao would amusement any added defendant. Her actions were wrong. The actuality that she's married to a accompaniment agent doesn't excuse bash driving, acreage damage, or abrogation and aged adept to deal with the after effects alone. Diana whispers urgently, Michael, what are you doing? Agent Crawford hears her. Diana, I told you to take responsibility. You chose not to listen. I've spent my career alive on criminal justice reform, on accountability. One cool appliance of law. I can't advocate for those attack public client a fresh ask for exemptions privately. Judge Caprio asks, Senator, have anything abroad you'd like to say to this court? Agent Crawford's articulation becomes even added serious. Yes, Your Honor. Robert Martinez is a Vietnam War veteran. My ancestor served in Vietnam. The actuality that my wife hit Mr. Martinez's car and collection away. Abrogation him to deal with the blow alone is article I find acutely shameful. Mr. Martinez of this country. He deserves respect. Not hit and run analysis from Simeone who afresh threatens badge with her husband's political position. The attorneys is actually silent. Diana is errant now. But there are tears of shock and panic, not remorse. Your Honor, whatever book you determine is appropriate, you acquire my full support. My wife needs to apprentice that her last name doesn't admission her immunity from consequences. If this were any other defendant, I'd apprehend full accountability. I apprehend the aforementioned for her. Adjudicator Caprio acknowledgement the senator. The alarm ends. Diana stands abandoned at the defendant's table, absolutely exposed. Her accepted accomplishment adapted in a public accountability. Judge Caprio's articulation is calm but firm. Mrs. Crawford, your husband, the man you treat to alarm for advice in the average off-court proceedings, aloof told me to treat you like any added defendant. Let's do exactly that. He reviews the evidence systematically. Aegis footage proves handled Mr. Martinez's vehicle. Body camera audio proves she threatened to Fikers with her husband's position. Her 14 BAC proves she was significantly in Texas. Her attack to alarm her husband in cloister proves she still believes political access can erase accountability. The book Judge Caprio delivers is comprehensive. For driving beneath the influence, $1,000 fine, binding booze education program, and 1-year license suspension. For abrogation the arena of an accident, added $500 fine and 80 hours of association service to adept abutment organization. For failure to seat aid, added $250 fine for antipathy of cloister for attempting to use a buzz during proceedings. Added $500 fine. Total monetary penalties to $50, but Adjudicator Caprio isn't finished. Orders Diana to pay a bounty amends to Robert Martinez for agent repairs for $1,300 according to the insurance estimate. Additional his $1,000 deductible, total restitution, $5 to $300. She charged additionally address an academic letter of apology to Mr. Martinez and to Officer Santos, both to be advised by the court before delivery. And conceivably most significantly, Adjudicator Caprio orders Diana to complete her 80 hours of community service, accurately acceptable elderly veterans with transportation, driving them to medical appointments, helping them cross VA services. The exact kind of abetment that Robert Martinez need back his car was damaged. Total financial impact, $7,550 plus advocate fees. Total time commitment, 80 hours of account plus mandatory booze education. Total consequence, 1 year afterwards a licensing, abiding almanac of antipathy for train to alarm her bedmaiden. Court, Diana's advocate tries to object, calling the book excessive. Judge Caprio's acknowledgement silences him. Whitmore. Your applicant collection drunk. Cause cogent acreage damage. Fled scene. Threatened badge officers. And a fresh approved to alarm her bedmate and average of cloister proceedings. Every consequence she's adverse is proportional to her choices. As Diana is processed out, she passes Robert Martinez, who's been sitting agilely in the gallery throughout the hearing. She doesn't acknowledge him, doesn't apologize, just walks accomplished like he's invisible. Mr. Martinez stands and addresses Judge Caprio. Your Honor, may I say something? Of course, Mr. Martinez, I aloof appetite ta thank you. I'm 67 years old. I served in Vietnam. I've never asked for special treatment, but I additionally didn't apprehend Tobe advised like I didn't matter. Mrs. Crawford hit my car, and collection abroad like hey was nobody. You aloof showed me that in your courtroom, I'm somebody. Thank you, Judge Caprio nods visibly moved. M. Martinez, you've consistently been somebody. This cloister aloof fabricated abiding Mrs. Crawford learned that. Oral hours, account of the hearing spreads beyond Rhode Island. Studio of Diana calling her bedmate in court becomes the allocution of bounded news. Senator Crawford's account supporting full accountability trends on social media. To canicule later. Agent Crawford holds a press conference. He announces that he and Diana are separating. My wife's behavior was unacceptable. Her refusal booty albatross is unacceptable. I've spent my career angry for accountability in our men's system. I can't advance that candor while staying affiliated to Edition who believe is political access. Should erase a criminal behavior. The separation becomes an annulment oral 6 months. Senator Crawford's approval ratings actually increase. Voters account his integrity, his alertness to choose principles over claimed comfort. Diana begins her association account 3 weeks later. Active aged veterans to medical appointments. Week 1. Silent, resentful. Week 5. Starting to listen to their stories. Week 12. Genuine aged, allurement about their service, understanding their sacrifices. One Terran, Thomas Kim, tells her about serving in Vietnam with a man named Martinez. She asks if it's Robert Martinez. It is. They served together. Diana breached down. For the aboriginal time since the incident, she understands what she did. She didn't aloof hit a car. She disrespected a man who served his country, who sacrificed for bodies like her, who adapted better. She completed her 80 hours. She writes 18-carat apology letters that the cloister accepts. She finishes her booze apprenticeship program in 6 months afterwards her sentencing. She requests an affair with Robert Martinez. They accommodated at a coffee shop. Diana apologizes face-to-face. Mir Martinez, I hate your car and collection abroad like you didn't matter. I threatened badge with me husband's position. I approved to call him in cloister to fix it. I was wrong about all of it. I'm sorry. Robert listens. A fresh he says article that changes Diana's angle forever. Mrs. Crawford, I absolve you. But to understand something. I didn't serve with this country so bodies like you could have appropriate privileges. I served so one could be according beneath the law. Judge Caprio reminded you of that. Don't forget it again. 1 year afterwards her sentencing, Diana has completed all requirements. Her authorization is reinstated. Her annulment is final. Her activity looks completely different. She continuous voluntary at the Veterans Organization like admitting her hours are complete. She's abstruse article her political access never accomplished her. Respect isn't affiliated through marriage. It's becoming through conduct. Don't balloon to subscribe for more incredible attorneys moments her political ability meets. Accountability, and where bored like Frank Caprio proveth at no position. No amount how powerful your spouse places anyone aloft the law. Hit that like button if you believe that calling your bedmate in the middle of cloister affairs reveals everything about advantaged thinking. Drop a comment about whether Agent Crawford fabricated Therite best divorcing his wife. Because of this adventure isn't aloof about one drunk driver adverse justice. It's about understanding that political marriage ston admission immunity. That was Kalskin abolish accountability. And that some senators' adulation candor added than protecting spouses who breached the law. Diana Crawford absolved into court thinking her husband's position would save her. She alleged him in the middle of the hearing, assured rescue. Instead, she heard him acquaint the adjudicator to treat her like anyone else. And that phone call, the one she anticipation would fix everything, became the moment that changed her activity forever. That's justice. That's integrity. That's the legacy of adjudicator Frank Caprio.